everyone, and welcome again to another one of our Salt Security customer stories. Today with me is Jeff Fernich with New American Funding. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Michael. Good to see you again.
You as well. Hey, so maybe for everyone watching this, just a little background on you and New American.
Sure. So I've been in IT well over 27 years, and about 25 of those years have some form of security responsibility. The last 5 years, I've been the head of IT, essentially the CIO and the CISO at New American Funding. It's
Yeah.
a national mortgage firm for origination servicing, operating in all 50 states and recently even Puerto Rico.
All right.
We have an office in India as well for development and some back office processing.
All right.
So once again, it's been exciting times here, and I'm hoping that the market picks up with the rate reduction we've seen recently.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's always a good sign for banks when they're able to reduce the borrowing rate. So I'm sure you've seen a ton over your 20 years and security evolve in many ways. Just specifically on APIs, maybe a little bit about why did you reach out to Salt and our API security solution?
Sure, this goes back probably almost 4 years ago. There were a few breaches that made the news 3 or 4 years ago. So of course, I tend to be an early adopter,
Mm,
and my philosophy and my program always been I don't want to be breached. I want to, make sure there's a strong posture. So I do as much as I can within resources allow to try to add controls, both required for regulatory compliance as well as newer areas in the attack surface. So with that, I realize APIs are going to be a big problem. So that's been the reason why is just trying to stay at least ahead of the curve where possible.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think you're right that we have seen like an increase in API related attacks or API breaches. Was there something specific that prompted you other than the like just I mean maybe it is you're just always being proactive, but was there anything else specific that you were looking for that really like piqued your interest? Like, oh, I've got to make sure that I have such and such or visibility into such and such.
I mean, a lot of my actions are based upon meeting regulatory controls. And unfortunately, API has not really made regulatory controls yet. PCI 4 has the controls for it. But really, at the end of the day, it's about protecting consumer data, protecting PI. So that was the main driver for this.
Yeah, got it. And you mentioned something before, and I'm going to come back to it, but maybe just frame it a little bit. Is typically, and you've mentioned this to me before when we've talked, is people go through this kind of a journey where they try to discover what they have or do some inventory what they have. Then they look at how they are posture wise against whatever policies they may have in place, and then they get into a little bit more sophisticated, attack blocking and finding what the specific malicious APIs are. But in that middle piece, you had mentioned about posture. Is there something in particular you guys look at or leverage on the posture side?
Well, I'd say once again, let me take a step back. So yeah, discovery is the first phase. Try and understand just how large a problem is. How many endpoints, how many hosts, how many API calls. So that gives me the scale of the problem. And then from there, we get the classification on, what's the criticality of the findings. Next is the posture. Where are the gaps in the way we're configured? Are there APIs that are unauthenticated? Is there, PI being passed in the URL itself in clear text? So all those things and many more is what we're looking at is how can we tighten our posture to hopefully minimize the potential for a breach.
Yeah, and I think you had mentioned a while back just the ease, right? Because you wanted something visual that you could see what is a criticality and do I have a gap and is it an important gap or less important, but just the ability to see that quickly. Was there anything else similar to that? Like anything in your mind that you're like, wow, this is really unique to Salt, like from other technologies, API technology, or just security in general? Anything with Salt that you were like, hey, this is really unique and I really value this or take advantage of this, whatever that they've built?
Well, I think it's really easy use. I mean, we were amazed to find out what the scale of the problem is. So we had our baseline in place. And once again, we're well beyond our 3 years in journey. So we're seeing really the uptick in remediations and
Yeah.
hardening. So that's really the journey's been very positive to see how we made this from being a potential big problem for us to something we can control and mitigate
Yeah.
in a timely manner.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and I think what you said there, the key piece is it's ease of use, and it's something that's really hard in security because underlying most security technologies is something that's really complicated. And to abstract that to the level of insights, but make it easy to see or visualize. Boy, it's key. And I know that's how we put a lot of attention there. I wanted to thank you, Jeff, for doing this. It's always good to talk with you. For anyone listening, if you want more information, go to Salt Security. And of course, if you have any funding needs, go to New American Funding. They'd be happy to talk to you and help you with your business. So, okay, great. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Michael.
Talk to you soon. All right.